There are stories that sleep beneath stone and ash. They whisper to no one. But when they wake, they do not come back alone. This is not a story I want to tell. But someone opened the book, and now the silence is broken. I thought the last page had been written. I felt the heat. I saw the flame. I watched the ashes fall like memory. But tonight, the diary returned. Not in full, just one page. Still warm, still breathing, still hungry. The paper looked older than it should, as if it had waited centuries to be touched again. I didn't touch it. I didn't need to. The ink arrived before my hand did. Not ink exactly, not blood either. Something in between. It moved like it remembered how. Each line dragged across the page like it was being written from beneath. Red, violent, deliberate. I watched the letters form. Evangeletta. But then, beneath it, a second name. Mine. Written in the same hand, the same ink, no difference. Two names, one motion, one will. It wasn't a signature, it was a seal. The page wasn't blank. It never was. It was simply waiting for the right eyes to see. This isn't a new entry. It's an old one, buried in the marrow of someone else's grief. But I feel it now, like I've written it before. This isn't a story I found. It's a story that found its way back to me. And it's not finished yet. It's still writing. I know this place. Not from the diary, not from words. From the way it feels when I close my eyes and the silence leans in. It begins the same way every time. A red moon rising. A cold wind that moves like it's being pulled, not blown. Stone ruins, a velvet sky, and two shadows moving like one. He's there, the vampire, holding her like she's something he lost. Not something he owns. And she, Evangeletta, doesn't flinch. She leans in, eyes closed, mouth parted, like she remembers the taste of him. It should be a memory, but not mine. Still, places I didn't know had names. And then I see it, a mirror. Freestanding, fogged, out of place. I don't want to look, but I do. And there's no one there but me. But I'm not watching, I'm being watched. Because in the glass, I'm not the one observing. I'm the one being held. It's not him holding her, it's him holding me. I was never outside the story. I was the part he mourned, and maybe I still am. I woke up bleeding, a slow trickle from the nose. Thick, blackened, like ink remembering its origin. The diary was gone. In its place, S, smudged across the desk like something was written there and then erased by fire. The air felt thinner, not cold, but used, as if something had been breathing beside me all night. I called it silence, but silence doesn't echo. This did. I went to the mirror. It greeted me the way it always did. Fogged at the edges, reluctant to show too much. I blinked, but it didn't. The reflection stood still, eyes locked on mine, unmoving, unbothered. Like it was waiting for me to move first. I raised my hand. It didn't. Whatever it is I've brought back, it remembers me better than I remember myself. I buried her story, but he buried mine first. And now, he's digging it up. I thought the mirror would be empty, or worse, that it would finally follow me again. But this time, it didn't reflect me at all. He stood there, watching, not fanged, not monstrous, just broken, like time had worn him down to bone and sorrow. His eyes weren't hungry, they were full of regret, of knowing. And then he spoke. You brought her back. You wore her soul like skin. His voice wasn't cruel, it was grateful, not because he wanted her, but because now he didn't have to be alone in remembering her. I felt the words wrap around me like breath. Then I looked down. A ribbon, red, familiar, coiled around my wrist, tight, as if it had always been there, only waiting to be seen. It wasn't cloth, it was a tether. And I wasn't tied to him, I was tied to her. And she remembers everything. It started with my hands. The color drained first, then the warmth. Then the memory of movement. They weren't my hands anymore. They were echoes, reaching for someone I hadn't met, but somehow loved. And then the visions came. Not dreams, not hallucinations. These were memories. But they didn't belong to me. I was held in arms I couldn't name. I was kissed with a mouth I didn't command. And I was buried alive, wrapped in red and silence. I tried to speak, but the breath wasn't mine. The words felt old, practiced, sacred. The house was no longer watching, it was participating. The chanting grew louder. I could hear my name inside it, but not the one I know. A name that hadn't been spoken in centuries. Not chosen, remembered. Inside, folded neatly, like a ritual, like a promise, was her dress. Evangelitas, red as wine, heavy as morning. It didn't surprise me, because deep down, I knew it would fit. I hadn't seen it in days, but it didn't knock this time. It was just there. The diary, resting exactly where I left it the first night. But it didn't feel returned. It felt ready. When I opened it, there were no words. No ink, no blood. Only silence pressed between blank pages like a breath that refused to exhale. And then it happened. No spark, no match. Just fire spilling from the spine like it had waited centuries to be seen. It didn't rage. It didn't consume. It burned with intention. Slow. Clean. Sacred. It wasn't destroying the story. It was sealing it. When the last ember fell to ash, it left two things behind. Silver fangs and a red silk ribbon. The mouth and the memory. That's all a vampire really is. They say stories end when the last page turns. But some pages turn back. I stood before the mirror, the same mirror that once held a reflection. But tonight it held him, not as a memory, not as a ghost, but real breathing. Behind me, I didn't see him move. I didn't need to. His presence was the cold breath on my neck, the shadow that no longer waited for light. But the truth was worse. I wasn't escaping the book. I was becoming its final line. There, on the altar of ashen memory, lay what remained. Silver fangs, gleaming like moonlight on bone. And the red silk ribbon. It lifted before I touched it, curled like it knew me, wrapped itself around my wrist, not tight, but possessive, as if it remembered something I hadn't yet lived. And the fangs were warm, not with fire, but with intent. His eyes met mine in the mirror, but they no longer belonged to a stranger. They looked like mine, or rather, mine looked like his. I thought I was telling this story, but I was only ever turning the last page. You thought it ended with fire, with S, with memory. But stories don't burn, not when they're written in blood. This wasn't the end. It was only the prologue